Right, so doming. It's probably the most important subject that we touch on while we're working out, pregnant and postnatally. What happens with doming is when your tummy gets bigger, your abs separate, which is what they should do. However, when we're doing abdominal movements, those can separate the ab even more. And when you give birth and after you've had the baby, if your gap has increased in size due to all these movements, it might be hard to get them back to what they were. So what we want to do is we want to restrict as much doming as possible, which means your abs are tighter, which means that when you give birth, they come back together nicely and you don't have to work as hard to get them back. We did a video at our gym about doming, and one of the girls was very kindly offered to show what doming looks like. So if you have a look at this video and listen to what we talk about doming and how important it is for you always to be checking when you're doing those high abdominal movements to see if you are, and then to either raise the surface or to modify the workout. Enjoy. Hi guys, we're going to talk about doming today. So doming is when the abs separate in pregnancy, and when mum does a very high pressure core movement, the insides actually get pushed out. So what we want to do is, if we see that, we want to know how to scale it down so that there is no doming. There's no risk to doming, but we don't want it to happen because once mum gives birth, it takes much longer for those abs to come back together if there's been quite a big split. So here's Lucy. She is 30 weeks pregnant, so she's in her 3rd trimester. Now we noticed about 3 weeks ago she was doing a scaled movement of knees up, and we noticed there was a bit of doming. She has kindly offered to do it to show us what it looks like so you guys can see when it happens and then how to scale it. So we're going to do the scaling of isolated core movements, which are your plank, your burpees, your push-ups, and your down-ups. Okay, so Lucy's going to show us. Thanks, Lucy. All right, you can come in and have a look. So she's just going to raise, and I'm going to point to the part where her tummy comes out, and there, and you can see that little bump that's coming out there. That is called doming. Thanks, Lucy. That's lovely. Doming doesn't necessarily have to happen in your 3rd trimester. It can happen in your 2nd trimester. It's basically when the tummy's starting to pop out that you, as a coach and mum, have to be vigilant and be watching all the time to see if it's happening. All right, so we're going to show you the scaling of plank. So I'm not going to make Lucy do the plank now because that will cause doming. It's quite a high pressure movement. So we're going to scale it up one so we can show you what we would do. So if Lucy was on her elbows or she was in a high plank and we saw the doming, we'd get her to either go on her knees, so she's going to put her hands on her, that's all right. Right? So on her knees, nice straight body, she drops her bum, and she pulls in her tummy and she squeezes her bum. No, don't push it. So, we are wanting her to fight the drop in the pelvis, so she squeezes the bum and she pulls her tummy towards the spine. Right? She can go on her toes. This is obviously much more high pressure than being on her knees, and we would look to see if there's any doming happening. If we saw any doming, we'd drop Lucy to her knees and decrease the pressure. If we saw doming while she was on her knees here, we raise the floor to decrease the pressure through the abdomen. So we'd move on to a box. So she can either do it on her toes. However, if we saw once again that the belly was sticking out, we'd drop her onto her knees. She squeezes her bum and pulls her tummy in. Thanks, Lucy. And if we saw it even on that, we'd raise the box even higher, and we just keep raising it. We keep raising the floor to lessen the pressure. So with the push-ups, we'd do the same. So we won't make Lucy do a push-up now because that's high-tech. But she could do it on the plate. Pulls the tummy towards the spine, and mum must keep that nice straight line. So pull the tummy in and pull the bum in. Right? If we saw the doming, we'd move Lucy onto the box. She could do it on her toes, or she could do it on her knees, depending on how much pressure is going through the abdomen. She keeps a lovely straight line. Lucy's very strong. Lovely. Keeps elbows in. You want to practice that elbows in, hands facing down, and down she goes. Lovely, Lucy. And then obviously higher box. She can do push-ups against the wall. If you find that the box is getting too high and she wants a bit more work, you can do the wall push-up. And then we've got burpees. So what we start with a burpee is we don't, once mum's tongue is coming out, we don't want them flattening against the floor. So we'll do a boot camp burpee. There we go. What we don't want Lucy to have is her pelvis to drop down, so she keeps a nice straight line. Show us there, Lucy. Lovely. No dropping of the pelvis. She pulls her tummy in and pulls her butt in. Once again, if we see that doming, we move her onto a box. There we go, and claps. Lovely. There's another variation of the burpee. We can show you if you come follow us. And it's a squat, and then a push up against the wall. There we go, and then a push up against the wall. Good. Again, thanks Lucy. That's good. We also have another active movement for Lucy. If we want just some variation, because sometimes someone may get a bit bored, and she feels she's not working as hard as she used to, which is the holding of a ring row. So she's going to hold, right? She's going to pull her bum in, and she's going to pull her tummy in. So this is very active for her. There's not gravity pulling her abdomen, so she is having to be active herself. Lovely, and then comes up out of it. And she just holds that for as long as she keep the form. So things to remember is if we see doming, we raise the floor to decrease abdominal pressure, and we will be doing more movements because there's a lot of core movement obviously in squats and deadlifts and press, but those will be in other videos and all the variations. Hope that was helpful. Thanks guys.